Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am picking 3 laminated padlocks. They're 60mm. These 2 are Masterlock number 15s, and this is a Brinks, obviously. So these locks come to me from bbtelpic66 on Reddit or bbtelpics on Instagram. Here on YouTube, he is just bbtel, and I will leave the name and a link to his YouTube channel here in the description. He's starting to do some more stuff with lock picking on his YouTube channel, and he posts stuff on his Instagram that he does. So he asked me to describe what I'm feeling and thinking as I go through this lock, which makes me take longer because it always happens where something doesn't go the way I think, and then my mind I start dwelling on that, so it throws me off. But starting with the tension wrench, I have the Topic keyway set from Sparrows. These are the 2 heaviest ones in that set. I bent them right at the end of the knurling about 30 to 45 degrees so that I can get a good room to move and feel on padlocks, because they're the 2 that I use the most on padlocks. With a straight tensioner, it's really stiff to move my finger back, so this gives me some relaxed area where I can kind of allow the tension to come off. So, and this is a multi-pick F06 in 0.5mm. And I like the sweep to it. It's not just a hard hook. Some of the harder hooks, they help you reach higher, but they come off of the pin too easy. So for tension, normally what I do is I just push until the tension or till the lock rotates, and I stop right there and just kind of barely hold it. With the Masterlock, I have picked this one before, but with the Masterlock, I'm going to hold a little extra pressure, and that can force a bad habit of too much pressure. You don't normally need to do that, but I am going to do that with this one. And just going down the pins, and I'm trying to get onto the tip of the pin with the tip of the hook, and then as I lift, I need to keep it there, because if I can push the straighter up I can push, the cleaner it's going to be and the better the feel is going to be. So there, I'm right, got a nice solid click. That one I feel like I stepped off, but I touched it again and got another click. So, and then number 5 I just touched and got a click, and 2 I got a light click on 1. I think 1's set. 2 feels set. Now I'm moving the pick a lot, but I'm not pressing. I'm actually rolling across the pins. Here I'm on 4, and I just got a nice touch on 4. I'm moving the pick a lot, but I'm not lifting. I'm actually pressing and testing on the tip of the pin. So when I press, I'm looking to see if I'm going to slide off of it in any direction. And if I feel like I'm going to slide, I'm moving until I can get to the tip. And then as it goes up, I'm constantly adjusting to make sure that I stay on the tip of that pin. So I wouldn't say it's heavy pressure, it's kind of moderate pressure, just giving a little extra tension, finding the tip of the pin and going up until I get 1 click, and then moving on to the next. If I get 2 clicks or something like that, I can just barely back off the pressure. I don't want to totally let out the pressure, just barely back it off. And if it's overset, it'll drop back down, and then I can start through the stack again, trying to find the pin I want to push. I'm trying to describe the feeling. With this one, it's a little bit, they're kind of sticky, and they hang up, and then click. And you'll find one that kind of drags, click. And then you just go through them. And then I thought I had them all there. Obviously I didn't. I got to number 1, and it had that nice drag and got a click, and it didn't pop open. So from there, I just went and I gave a little pressure till I got the pin right on. I was on the center of the pin, and I pressed up, and if it was really stiff, I left it alone. Then I went to the next one. I made sure I was on the center of the pin. And center of the pin, this is my theory, is making sure that you're on the center so you're pushing straight up. Because if you're on the side just a little bit and you're pushing, you're actually binding a little bit this way and it's not going to drag as clean. And also once you get up so far, it's going to stop pushing. Make sure I'm on the camera. It's going to stop pushing, and I could also slip off, or I've had it where it gets too steep of an angle and it slips off this way. So you want to make sure you're in the middle and you're constantly adjusting to kind of get in and keep that pin on the center until you get that click. And again, if I'm on the side or on the front, I'm going to slip off, but I'm also pushing in a weird angle, and it twists the pin just enough that it gives a different feeling, and it may not, you may get a set, but it may not feel clean. If I'm on the tip and I'm pushing straight up, usually that's when I can feel it nice and clean on the set. All right, so second number 15 here. This one's a little more grimy. It looks like it could use some oil, but so I may not have mentioned this on the first one. I put the tension wrench in, and then I back it out just a little bit. This is a nice older number 15. Kind of makes me feel like I'm out in the field picking something. So same type of thing, a little extra pressure. Trying to make sure I'm on the tip of the pin. And when I'm on the very tip, it seems to move easier. I might struggle with it a little bit, but once I find the tip of the pin and give a little press, it has no problem moving. And it one that I thought was set, just a slight movement of the pick and pushing in the right place, it starts to move. And now I'm talking and testing pins, and there we go. I just touched. I went through the whole thing. It felt like I only picked 2 pins there. I barely touched number 2. I kind of flicked across the end and opened. So I'm gonna do this one again, see if I can get a little bit better description of it, of what I'm doing and feeling on this one. This one seemed to pop open really easy. So find pin 1 there. Just barely touch pin 1 right on the tip of it, and it's set really easy. 2 feels loose. 3 feels set. 4 right on the tip, it's moving, but I slipped there. Set 4. I just slipped off at 5. It's when I started to put pressure. 5 feels set. Come back up to 2 because that one was loose, and there we go. So very light touches. I had moderate pressure, and just as long as I was on the very tip of the pin, it took very little pressure. So one of those, I was kind of to the back a little bit and it felt set, but as soon as I moved my pick just partial, like 1.1 millimeters back, I was on the center of the pin and gave that same light pressure, the pin jumped right up. So being on the tip of the pin is quite important. So again, I have picked these before, so I do know that this one has spools in it. Try to get off of pin 1. And the Masterlocks just seem to use better metal than these, but this one has spools, so it's a little bit going to be a little bit trickier to pick, but I think the Masterlocks are made better as far as metal used and everything. So got a tiny click on, I think that was pin 2. Come back to the beginning again. Okay, now I'm into a false set with a click on 3. I'm going to start over again. Press carefully. Slipped off of 1. Now I'm not getting any counter rotation. Maybe I actually set it. Okay, it feels like it might be set. Okay, now I'm getting counter rotation, but I'm not on the tip of the pin. I'm sliding off. There we go. Got counter rotation, and then back into my false set. I just touched number 1 and I got a deeper false set. No counter rotation on 1. 2 feels set. 3 feels set. Okay, they all feel set. So let me go through this again and feel with a little bit. I'm really just holding the tension wrench here because I want to be able to let it get counter rotation if there's counter rotation. It feels like I got some there, but it's not moving smooth. So I guess this one could use, sorry about that, bump the camera. This one could use a little oil as well. Oil, fellas, oil. I usually say oil, but all right. Again, normally this would just be kind of quickly jumping from pin to pin and figuring this out, but since I'm talking, I'm trying to do it slow and methodical. And again, I'm worried about the open, not speed. I'm not trying to be a speed picker. Move my tension wrench around. Hopefully I don't lose anything. Okay, so let's do this again. So I touched one and it actually put me into a deeper false set. Or was that 2? That was... Okay, so pin 1 seems to set really high. There we go. So it was pin 1 was hanging me up. Pin 1 sets really, really high. And I wasn't getting there. And then I had to go back. Once I got pin 1 set, I touched pin 2 and it opened. So it's just going through, and that one's tricky because 1 is tucked back behind. It's a high lift and it's pretty stiff with everything else kind of set. It is pressure on it, and it's just a tricky pin to get because of where it's sitting, trying to get that lift on it and keeping that balance of not too much pressure on the tension wrench and not letting it slip out. So you got to let that pin move. So that's a tricky one there with pin 1, but overall not bad. I like it. It was fun. So that's the 60mm locks. It's explained as best I can of how I do it and what I'm feeling. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I keep bumping my camera here at the end. I'm sorry about that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I will give any feedback I can. I appreciate your time. BB Telpix, thank you for sending me these locks and trusting me with locks from your collection. I will get them back to you safely. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.